This video is intended for viewers aged 13 and up. If you are not 13 yet, please leave. Hello and welcome back to the Fantastic Four Wave Week, where we are continuing the main team of the Fantastic Four by going on to the female member of the team, the Invisible Woman, Sue Storm. All in all, the painting and the sculpting on this figure is pretty darn good. I personally kind of enjoy it, and yeah, I think it's pretty nicely done for a Sue Storm figure in the aesthetic of the Fantastic Four aesthetic that they are going for. Starting off the head, I think this is one of the nicer female head sculpts that I have. It works for Sue Storm, honestly, and I do kind of enjoy it a good bit. However, my favorite element is the way that the hair was painted. I really like the multi-tone painting that was done here, and this lighting doesn't really do it justice. But it looks really nice, and it's a very nice level of like shading and the way it kind of like naturally just goes from one color to another, and it looks a lot more drastic on the image here, but I do really like it. Though the most annoying element of it is that the hair is in perpetual motion as if in an action pose, which works for action poses, yes, but if you're just having them standing around because you don't have the room, it honestly looks a bit awkward. Moving on to the body, it's honestly kind of the same prototypical female Marvel Legends body, but with the Fantastic Four tampography on it. That's not to say that the Fantastic Four tampography is bad. I really do like the way it looks. There are a couple of QC issues, like on the 4 there's a little bit of white bleeding into the blue of the 4, but that's excusable, in all honesty. I do really like the black and blue. I know it's not traditional, but I do really like how it looks. However, moving to the back, you can see the problem with continuously reusing the same mold, as there was a hole in her back, presumably for a backpack for a character who has a backpack of sorts. Now, I'm guessing you can fit the Doc Ock tentacle pack, but it's blocked by the other bit. But yeah, honestly, it's a bit annoying. However, I do like the way that the blue coloring moves to the back here. Her arms once again have a very similar printing to Mr. Fantastic from yesterday. I do really like the blue that they chose, as I said before. I do kind of like how it has a different shade than the plastic. How it kind of looks a bit more matte than it does with the upper arm. And one of my favorite elements is probably the little bits of black on the knuckles, which I feel like is a small detail that they didn't have to include, but they included it anyways, and I really do like it. And also, I like how the inner gloves are black, which, once again, a detail they didn't have to include, but they did anyways. Yeah, legs are pretty standard, typical female Marvel Legends legs. Boop-a-da-boo. Wow, it's almost as if I'm going to be saying a lot of the same stuff over the next week. Same blue printing, however, these heels get on my nerves. Now, they have the bumps which served an issue on Mr. Fantastic last time. However, since they're heels, that means that the balance is really weird. That means that especially with the wibbly plastic in the legs, it's extremely hard to even get her into stock standing poses, especially trying to get her into action poses. I would recommend probably getting an action base of some sort. I sadly don't have one to spare on this figure. I'll probably have to get one later on. But, yeah. Honestly, it's a bit annoying. That means that especially with the wibbly plastic in the legs, it's extremely hard to even get her into stock standing poses, especially trying to get her into action poses. I would recommend probably getting an action base of some sort. I sadly don't have one to spare on this figure. I'll probably have to get one later on. But, yeah. Honestly, it's a bit annoying. And that element is sadly not really reflected in many other reviews that I've seen of this figure, because she just can barely stand up because of those heels. And hopefully, in the future, they'll improve on this, especially with the wibbly plastic and the thin wibbly plastic in the legs. Hopefully they'll improve on it, especially since they're going for a pinless design in the future, kind of like the arms. Hopefully that allows for more leg stability. But we'll see. Moving on to accessories for a bit, From what I can tell, she doesn't come with extra hands. She could have. I might have lost them, but I don't think she came with extra hands. If she did, correct me in the comments, I'll write something in the iCard or whatever at this point. However, she does come with an accessory, unlike Superior Octopus. She has a nice shield, and I really like how it's sculpted. I kind of like how it kind of looks. Since it's a force field, I really like how it looks. I honestly enjoy it. And to get it to work, you get the open hand here. Yep, sorry about the camera. I knocked it over a little bit. And then there's a corresponding hole in the force bubble shield. And you just slide the hand into the hole in the shield. And honestly, I think, and it fits really well. However, the problem is, it makes her pretty top heavy whenever you try to put it into action poses. Thus, especially with the dumbass feet, she's very prone to falling over. I wish that it was a bit more well thought out when they were like, oh yeah, let's give her heels. But it's fine. It looks nice. I really like how the shield works, and I really like it as a representation of her powers. I think it works better than what Mr. Fantastic did. So, yeah. Now let's move on to posability. It's pretty stock standard for a female Marvel Legends figure. Now, her head is on the ball joint with another hinge. However, it's limited in that the hair is a thick, rigid piece. So she's able to look around decently. She's able to look down pretty well, but she isn't really able to cock side to side too much or look up, like, at all. Which is very annoying. Like, goodness. Her arms are typical female arms where they have the full around swivel, though you might get limited by the hair, have the outward hinge, have a swivel pin that is also a 90-degree bend at the elbow, as well as a typical Marvel Legends hand, which has the full swivel, as well as a hinge to move up, which is really nice. Now moving on to her torso, there's only really one joint in the body. It's here at the chest, and it's a ball joint. However, it's able to arc a little bit back and a little bit forward, but it's more so used as a swivel joint by me, and even still, it kind of gets locked in place in places. Moving on to the legs, this is going to be a bit weird for me because this is my first female figure that I'm reviewing, but it's a pretty typical Marvel Legends leg. It's able to kick forward that far. It's not able to kick back super far because of the butt sculpting, and it's able to move out pretty decently, though I wish the stride was a little bit better, but that's just my personal opinion. The thighs are able to swivel as per usual, and they have a double bend, which allows the leg to basically go all the way, though it's not able to fully touch the back, unlike Mr. Fantastic from yesterday. Now, the feet are also pretty prototypical, able to move forward and move back, and are on a rocker, and you're going to need to use those if you're going to get her into good poses that she's able to stand in, which I wish was done a bit better on this figure, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Now she can stay standing. Now I'm gonna move on to the size comparisons, where she stands at about 6.5 and a bit inches tall, which is pretty decent for a Marvel Legends figure. And to compare to other figures, here we have a Lego Hulkbuster that's been slightly customized, the Marvel Legends Hulk mold that they're going to probably be using for the next couple years because it's a really good Hulk mold, SPD Shadow Ranger, my previous review, the Marvel Legends Mr. Fantastic, watch it if you haven't yet, the amazing Yamaguchi Bleeding Edge Iron Man, and finally here she is again with the rest of the Fantastic Four. And as I said previously, they work really well together, especially since they all basically have the same tampograph except for the Thing, but he is completely different compared to all of them. So, yeah. And that's this figure. Now, in all honesty, I do kind of enjoy this figure, even with its issues. I feel like it's one of my least favorites in the wave, but that's just purely because she can barely stand. Her molding's pretty darn good, especially for Marvel Legends, and I do enjoy what they tried to do with it. However, with the standing issues that she has, that makes her not fall down a few pegs. However, that's not too bad, because I think this wave overall is pretty darn good, as you'll see throughout the rest of this week. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe and do all the other YouTube funny name things. And, yeah, tune in tomorrow as we review her brother and fellow Fantastic Four member, Johnny Storm, a.k.a. the Human Torch. Bye, everybody.